Do not mess up your IIFT exam. If you're a CAT aspirant, if you're an IIFT aspirant, then this video is for you, because I am making this video not only for those who are appearing for IIFT, but also for those who are not yet, who have not yet planned that they'll be appearing for IIFT. And my objective in this video is that what exactly are some of the things in your preparation which you need to do right now, so that the IIFT exam, which will be happening just 2 weeks after the CAT, you can take care of it very well. I'll be sharing with you certain nuances about it, so that you know that what extra you need to do for IIFT. Hi, I'm Darpan Saxena, an MBA graduate from IIM Udaipur, and let's get on with the video. So as I said, I'm not only creating this video for those who have already planned that yes, they'll be appearing for IIFT, not only for those who have registered for IIFT, but I'm also creating for the audience. If you are watching this video, if you are a CAT aspirant and probably you're still on the fence about whether you should appear for IIFT or not, well then my advice to you is that if you really want to give yourself another opportunity, then you should appear for IIFT. And why I'm saying this right now is because you can still apply for IIFT. The last date to apply for it is 14th of November. So if you're somebody who's still on the fence about whether you need to appear for IIFT or not, you still can apply for it. That is one of the things which I wanted to speak to you about. Now, let's try and quickly understand what the IIFT exam is all about. While I'll be creating a separate video on how to attempt IIFT and all of those things, in this video my objective is to give you a quick intro to the ones who know about IIFT. You will have an idea about what are the nuances and and how you need to prepare for it, and the ones who are still on the fence about it, you will know that what IIFT is all about. Well, this is the exam in front of you. The exam is called IIFT 23. The reason why it's called IIFT 23 is because the admission is for the 23 to 25 batch. Hence, the nomenclature of the IIFT exam is always that which is the starting year of the batch. That is how it is. Now, in front of you, you know what the exam is all about. As per the IIFT notification, which you can find on their website, on the NTA, the National Testing Agency's website, what you'll know, or what National Testing Agency, let me just quickly write this down. National Testing Agency, this is the organization which conducts the IIFT. Now, as per the notification on their side, we know for a fact that it will be a 2-hour 120-minute exam, and these are the 4 sections, or these are the 4 broad subjects which you can find in the exam. Now here you can see that what you usually say as quantitative aptitude in your CAT is called quantitative analysis in IIFT. However, it's the same. It is the quant section itself. Now, what you call VARC in your CAT is called RCVA, reading comprehension and verbal ability. Then the third one is DILR. Again, you know this from CAT. And fourth one, another thing which is specific to IIFT, which is not in CAT or in most of the other MBA entrance exams, it is general awareness, which is basically GK. Now, here is the breakup of the questions which you can expect. Now, I'm saying you can expect this. The reason why I'm saying that you can expect it is as this has not been announced that what will be the section wise breakup of the questions you can expect. However, since these were the 4 areas which were in the last year's IIFT exam, we can safely assume that this will be the same questions, the same number of questions which you can expect in this year's IIFT as well. Hence, from here you can clearly see that the total number of questions which you have is 110 number of questions which you have to solve in 120 minutes. So now here is something interesting about the marking scheme, that for the first 3 the marking scheme is +3 -1, +3 and -1, whereas for the last one, for GA, it is plus 1.5 and minus 0.5. Hence, you can see that the overall score for the entire exam is basically 300. So your maximum score, your max score of the exam is 300. This is what you need to know broadly about the IIFT. And yes, in 2022, this exam will be happening on 18th of December, which is 2020. Now that you know this, my next objective is to help you understand that what are the major, broad, glaring differences between the CAT exam, which you know, the CAT, and the IIFT exam. So right now I will explain you that in terms of the structure, what is it that is there in CAT which is not in IIFT, or in fact I should say that what is there in IIFT which is not in CAT. Now first things first, what you need to understand is that, which we've already spoken about, is that in CAT you know that there is a sectional duration. So each section is for 40 minutes, after which you are forced on to the next section by the system itself. However, in IIFT you do not have any such sectional time limit. Therefore, for you to be able to handle the IIFT exam, the entire onus of the time handling is on you. That how do you manage your time during the exam so that you get adequate amount of time for each section. From there, the second thing which you should know is that, which is obvious, is that in CAT you do not have a general awareness or a GK section, whereas in IIFT you have a separate section for GK, for which is called the general awareness. That is also what we know. These are the broad things, these are the broad structural things which you can see are not the same. The third thing is that, which I've already spoken about, that while the marking scheme for the entire exam of the CAT is the same, which is +3 and -1, whereas in IIFT it is not the same for all the sections. For these three it is what you can see here, whereas for general awareness it is +1.5 and -0.5. This is also what we have seen, and hence you can know that in GA there is a different marking scheme. The ratio of the positive to negative, however, is the same. Now the next thing which you need to know is this thing, which is very important, that in CAT the sequence of the sections in which the exam is laid out is already fixed. However, in IIFT the sequence is fixed, but you can move from one section to another. So this again gives the onus entirely on you. This and this gives the onus on you, that you need to be good at managing your time in the exam. And now that we are saying this, that the onus is on you, comes the very important point, that when even this is something which is a variable, that how much time you should spend in each section is a variable which is not there in CAT. Don't you feel that you need extra practice for this? And that is why, if you watched my other videos, you would know this, that I've advised you that now that we are 3 weeks away from CAT, this is the only week, in which I am advising you to appear for at least 2 IIFT mock tests. Very important. The reason why I'm saying that is, from the next week onwards you will focus entirely again on the important exam, which is the CAT. And what happens is that after you've appeared for your CAT, you are not usually in a state of mind to directly start to study again for IIFT. Therefore, this week, if you're an IIFT aspirant, if you're planning to appear for IIFT, then this is the week where you need to make up your mind and appear for at least 2 IIFT mock tests, so that you can experience all of these variables at play. You can experience that how it entirely changes when you can control the duration of how much time you spend on each section. That is important. Now that I've shared with you that what are the broad structural things which you need to know, I'll quickly share with you certain nuances, which is your nuances for your preparation. You need to know that these are the slight nuances for which you need to prepare for. So let me take you through that what exactly should be your strategy for IIFT. Now, first things first, we can see it clearly that it seems to be an examination of your speed, because you have 110 questions which you have to attempt in 120 minutes, which is just over 1 minute per question. That's about it. So assume that you have only 1 minute to solve each question, which means you've got to be very fast, which clearly means that unlike in CAT, in IIFT, it is all about how fast you can go. At least it seems so. At least it seems so. However, there is another thing which you need to keep in your head, that here in IIFT you also have sectional cutoffs, which surely you also have the same thing you may be having in CAT, where you know that okay, if you score below a certain percentile in each section, then obviously some of the schools will be beyond your reach. And the same thing is there in IIFT as well, that you need to at all times need to keep your sectional cutoffs in your head. Now, why am I stating it as a separate, separate statement in the strategy? Why, why have I had it over here? The reason is because the other variable at play is that how much time you're spending on each section is also in your hands now, which is unlike the CAT. Hence, you need to remember this even more in IIFT, that you need to manage your time very well, because for each section you eventually have to clear the sectional cutoff as well. Now, the third thing is probably very crucial, because once you understand point number 3, then you will realize that okay, not really, IIFT is not so steep on your speed as well. It is not really an exam of speed, but IIFT is more an exam of your time management, not the speed. These are not the same things. It is an exam of your time management, as well as the exam of how quickly you can identify what are the questions which you need to attempt. So your strategy, it is an exam of your time management strategy, which you can also call as the temperament which you hold in the exam. These are the three things. Why am I saying this? It is very important for you to understand it. Why am I saying this? Broadly, if you understand, when I'm saying identify, you need to know your winning areas in IIFT. Broadly, these are the 6 areas which usually appear in IIFT. Okay. Now, in some of the previous year exams, it also used to happen that all of these used to be separate sections. So instead of you having 4 sections, there were IIFT exams in the last 5 years, wherein instead of having 4 sections, you had 6 of them. And then just imagine, when you have 6 separate sections, each of the sections have a separate sectional cutoff as well, which means that in each section you have to be good. You have no scope to hide. All the sections have to be great. However, now they have clubbed it. Now your QA is standalone. However, your DILR is one section, your RC and VA is one, and your GA is standalone. Which means what? Which means that now it is about identifying your areas of strength quickly. So suppose you are saying that okay, I'm somebody who's usually not very fast with my calculations. Hence, in a IIFT kind of an exam, my DI will not be easy for me to solve. In that case, probably you can say that okay, for me to just clear the sectional, I will attempt most from LR, and that will help me ensure clear my cut off. And as you will see the previous year cutoffs, you will realize that they aren't even so high. So when you are having an exam of 4 sections, where you have sections which are clubbed, you can cover up your weaker areas and score marks from the other areas. The same actually also applies for QA, that in QA now it is your ability to know that, that historically I know that how much marks I need to score in QA. Now when I know that I have to score only a certain amount of marks, a certain mark, then I should not see it as that I need to attempt all of the 110 questions in the 2 hours. Then I broadly know that how many questions, even if I'm able to attempt those many questions, I will be safe. All of this practice can only come if you appear for mock tests. It will not come by watching me talk. As simple as that. That is why in my 4 C's, 4 weeks strategy, I have designed that strategy for you so that you can apply it. And in that, I said this is the third last week, and in this week you need to appear for at least 2 IIFT mocks if you're a serious IIFT aspirant. Now here is what it is. Here is what I was speaking to you about. That for the last 3 years, the IIFT has been the same kind of an exam where you've had 4 sections. So IIFT 22 is basically the last year. It is not this year. IIFT 22 means the last year exam which happened in 2021. So for a fact, you can see here that for some of these 2 years, IIFT was also a 6 section exam. And for some of the years here as well, it has been historically a 6 section exam as well. My advice to you is that, okay, while we broadly know that for the last 3 years IIFT has been a 4 section exam, you should enter your exam with the assumption that even if it is a 6 section exam, I need to ensure that all of my sections, the 6 areas which I had shown to you now, they should be at least at that kind of a stage that I should at least be able to clear the sectionals for that. Which means what? इसका मतलब ये है that while you're studying for IIFT this week itself, go back and check out the cutoffs of the last years and have a fair idea about it. That okay, say suppose if DI and LR are two standalone sections, then how much do I need to score in DI and how much do I need to score separately in LR for me to ensure that I'm clearing my sectionals. Now I will be creating a video on in the future specifically about the exam strategy for IIFT. So I'll be speaking about what have been, what historically have been the sectionals for IIFT, and it is there where I will be completely addressing it. But this is what you need to know. This is what you need to keep in your head, that it is usually a 4 section exam wherein you have the opportunity to know which are your winning areas and to focus more on that so that your weaker sections can get hidden behind that, and hence that way you can build a strategy around how to get a good score in IIFT. Now the next thing I will be speaking to you about is basically a very quick section wise strategy. This is a preparation strategy. I will be creating a separate video for your attempt strategy. I am not speaking about attempt strategy right now. Right now in this video, my objective is to awaken you towards IIFT, and it's about it. So if I have to say some last words about what your sectional strategy has to be, I'll just quickly say a few things over here. For a section like QA, what you will experience is that the length of the questions which they ask is going to be longer. The question statements, the question statements will be longer. So you need to have a practice of being able to solve or read longer question statements. In some cases, or in most of the cases, especially in arithmetic questions, they would be very calculation intensive also. This is what has been seen in IIFT QA, that usually these are also very calculation in intensive. Let me just correct the spelling over here. Intensive. Yeah, that is what it is. So again, this practice you will get only when you appear for mock tests, and then you will realize that okay, if suppose arithmetic is your absolute strength, then to koi problem hai hi nahi. But if it's not your strength, then you'll figure out okay, that how can I hide behind something, say an algebra or a geometry or numbers so that I can hide this out, since this we know for a fact that this is there in IIFT. Now, quick words, I will be speaking about DILR. What you need to know about DILR is that both DI and LR are pretty straightforward. So unlike the CAT, wherein you have to apply a lot of your head in trying to probably understand that what is the data or what is the puzzle which they are expecting you to solve, here the ask in the questions is pretty straightforward. So I would say pretty much straightforward questions in both DI and LR. In DI, again, I would say this to you, that it will get calculation intensive. It will get calculation intensive. And one more thing which you have to know is that in IIFT, you do not get a calculator, which is again unlike CAT. This is another important thing. One advice for DILR, which you should, as you will in this week appear for IIFT mock test, one advice which you need to follow is that in DILR section, you will also find a lot of singlets, which is again unlike the CAT. Singlets means एक सवाल होगा उसमें, instead of having a complete set with 4 questions. Singlets are usually easier, and you'll be able to fetch a lot of low hanging fruits if you are able to clear out and quickly attempts the singlet. So probably my advice would be that if you can first quickly skim through the singlets, then probably you will realize that you would have got at least 2 or 4 of them already, and that will help you build your speed in it, and you'll be able to quickly crush through the proper sets as well. So this is some advice, broad advice, which is for your mock tests, which you need to appear so that you get a feeler of IIFT. I'll quickly give you my advice on RC and VA. Again, I would say that in IIFT, RC and VA is pretty straightforward, especially RCs. Again, the RCs, the ask, the questions which they ask in RCs, you will be able to easily find the answer to them in the paragraphs. तो बहुत सिंपल है, जो भी क्वेश्चन आपसे करा गया है उसका आंसर, the answer to those will be very easily spotted in the this thing. So one advice for RCVA in IIFT is that probably read the questions first. So if you're appearing for the test, then I would advise that try this first of all. Read the questions in the RCs first, and then when you're skimming through the RCs, try and quickly find out the answer to it. I can assure you this way you are likely to solve it much faster. So read the questions first, read RC questions first, then read paragraph. Now, the thing about VA is that certain question kinds in VA would be new to you, which you would not have attempted in your CAT. Hence, again, certain new question types can come in VA, for which again I would simply advise to use that forget all of this which I'm saying. Go ahead and appear for a mock test for IIFT, and you'll completely understand what all things am I actually advising you. And for GA, very frankly, I have no advice for GA. For GA, one very simple thing, because I know a lot of aspirants, they do not study GA or GK. Even I, when I was an aspirant, I would have, I have never studied it, alag se, but ideally we should. Ideally, we all should. For GA, a very simple advice. See, the cutoff for GA is always very low. So it is again something very low. You need to attempt very few questions. I'll be creating a separate video on how much is the sectional for each of them. However, all you have to know is that go on to YouTube, find videos of other coaching institutes which have created GK videos specifically for IIFT, and these would be long videos in which they will help you understand both static GK and the current affairs of the last 1.5 years. Both of them you will be able to watch those. So probably GA is something which you can still keep for studying after CAT. After CAT, in fact I should say after CAT, not CAT after. So this is probably you can start to watch this after CAT, or probably you can say that okay, I'll start to watch these from right now. In fact, I would advise you to watch them from right now whenever you are free, so that subconsciously you will start to absorb a lot of things. This is, these were very simple advices, very simplistic advice, which I'm sharing these pieces of advice to you, so that you can at least get on the front foot, attempt a few IFT mocks with some understanding of it, and within this week, in those, you know, in those 2 or 3 IFT mocks which you will appear for, you will be able to quickly identify what your strategy has to be. That's about it from me in this video on IIFT. Do stay connected. I will be sharing with you more such insights on your CAT journey up till the CAT exam, so that you can crack these exams really well. Thanks a lot and goodbye.